till you must.
We need a new plant. Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening to Two Cool Moms. I'm Joe Gatto.
I'm Steve Byrne.
The notorious STEVE.
Yes.
Good to see you, buddy. We had a fun time last night.
We had a nice evening.
Out and about. It's fun to see New York City late night life. But I'll tell you what happens that's weird. So last night when we were walking out and about in town, people have had a couple of drinks in them.
Sure.
And they get surprised when they see people that they recognize from televisions and whatnots. So this gentleman walks by me last night and he goes, Joe. I go, hey. He goes, no way, my wife loves you more than me. I said, oh, that's nice, buddy. He goes, I got to shake your hand. And my hands were full. I had my bag with me and whatnot. I was like, oh, sorry. And I gave him a fist bump. And he just went, oh, man. And he just put his hand on my belly. He gripped my belly like a basketball, and he went, "Oh, you're the best," and walked away. It was such an odd interaction. He you know what, like I was pregnant, like a pregnant woman. Like, oh, can I rub your belly? It was so odd, and it left me baffled. And I wonder if he's going to put that detail into when he tells his wife. He's like, "Hey, I met Joe Gatto. I rubbed his belly.
Palmed his belly.
It's the greatest belly."
You must have had incredibly awkward over the course. I mean, that's one of
my whole life. My whole life.
What's one that?
I was on the other side of it. One of my also awkward interactions involves you.
Really?
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
One of my heroes growing up, idolized, comedy legend, love him, right? Yeah. One of the reasons, honestly, why I got into the whole game, okay? Right. We're playing you get us into the Nashville Comedy Festival. Yes. It's the first day. I arrive first. Yep. I go, I check my bags. I'm like, yes, Joe Gatto's like 8th floor. Great. I walk into the elevator, doors open. I go, 3rd floor, the doors open. You and him get in, coming back from the gym. Full sweat. It's the first time I meet Vince in a closed space, and he's monstrous. He's a huge man. Yeah, he comes in, he takes up 3/4 of the elevator, because it's a tiny elevator, and I'm like, hey, he's like, hey, so nice to meet you. And I was like, thanks, man. And I couldn't hug to say hello because you guys were both covered in sweat because you just worked out. Yeah. You saw that it was awkward. You're like, hey, man, how are you? And I was like, hey. And then the doors opened, and I walked out backwards. And I went, literally, when the door shut, I don't know if you remember, I waved like a little kid, and the door shut. And as soon as the door shut, I was like, what the fuck did I just do? Oh, man, that was one of the most awkward interactions I ever had. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But I've had so many on the other side, too. But that was so did you have because you've been in the game a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you're very comfortable around celebrity now, though.
One of the ones that was just deflating was I had told Russell Peters, he's friends with Michael Bublé. And I really like Michael Bublé, like when he does the old standards, like the soccer mom shit. I'm not really.
I love boobs. Don't disrespect Bublés.
But the soccer mom.
Okay, it's not for everybody.
Kind of poppy stuff. But when he does standards, it's amazing in the orchestration, the arrangement, and his live show. I heard is fantastic. Right.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
So I tell Russell Peters, I'm like, hey man, I saw your boys coming. Are you gonna go? Because I'm gonna go, or I'll get us tickets or whatever. He's like, no, I got us. So. Russell Peters and I go with our girls, and we show up, and he's like, wow, I didn't know he was this popular. I'm like, oh, he's doing an arena. Yeah, he's massive. And he's friends with him and doesn't realize how big he is, right? So the show ends, and I meet him very briefly. Michael Bublé comes over to Russell. He's like, man, thank you so much for coming. He gives him a big hug. And then he hugs me and Jess. Oh. He's like, thank you guys so much. I got to do this interview with NBC real quick, and then I'll come hang out. So we're sitting backstage. My wife and I are like, wow, what a nice guy. He hugged us. He doesn't have to. He could have just said, hey, thanks for coming or whatever. Then he comes over, and Russell's like, yeah, this is Steve Byrne. He's a comedian. He's been doing it a while. And Michael Bublé just looks at me and goes, I never heard of you. And I was like, oh, God. It's just one of those things where he was reflexively just like...
Yeah, it sounds innocent, right? Yeah.
But, and then it just you just feel like a balloon deflating. You're like, I'll just weep over here in the corner. Great show.
Yeah, but great shot in the arena.
One of the better live performers I've ever seen. And it's so funny. He nips it in the butt right away. He looks at this guy in front. He's like, she made you come, didn't she? And the guy goes, yeah. He goes, I promise you, you're going to have a great time tonight.
Oh, that's
and
great.
I was like, wow, what a great opening line to say.
I imagine that a lot of that attendance is... That happened a lot with us on the... when I did the Joker's tour especially, where the plus one, a lot of times you could tell when they weren't.
Sure.
Like like when you're doing the references to the show or whatever you're doing, because that show was a lot of references to. You'd have to watch Jokers really to get a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it, to make it feel like you knew what was going on. And you could always tell like when we did something and it didn't hit with somebody. Right. And I would always walk over to like Sal or Q, depending on the stand-up, whoever was next to me that in that rotation. I would go give a tap. I'd be like, he has no idea. and we would just watch. Like if somebody else was telling the story, we would watch him just being like, and like she'd laugh and he'd be like, ha ha ha, ha. Like I get it.
Who's one of the better live performers you've seen?
Bruno Mars, hands down, is the #1 performance I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
He puts on, what a hell of a show. Works so hard. That was a great show. I've seen him multiple times. He was great. I will say that I did those Jingle Ball concerts a lot. Those, like the Z100 big, holiday ones. And you get to see them a lot. You get to see like little pieces of everybody. And there you get to see how people pale in comparison to each other. Right. And I will say I saw BB Rexha. And she blew my mind how good she was. And it was another one, and Dua Lipa was there as well. Wow. And they worked. It was crazy. They were going nuts. And I was like, wow, they really went for it. I forgot who was in between them. There was somebody in between them. And I was like, oh, that's unfortunate that you have to follow. Sure, yeah. Because that's a hard show, right? Because everybody's a banger. Everybody is like, putting on their best. And I actually
now Jewel.
Yeah. Comes out with just a guitar and a stool, single spotlight. Not the vibe. Imagine Dragons, unbelievable live. I guess that was really special though, because I took my daughter, who's a huge fan of them, and it was her first concert.
See her light
so
up.
That was fun. I basically watched her.
Yeah.
But I've seen them multiple times. They put on a really, really good show. I mean, people who are passionate about their music, you could tell. Mm-hmm. I feel musicians can't fake it as much as comedians.
No. I'll tell you, I saw Harry Connick Jr. Multiple times. Yeah. The guy is a flat-out entertainer. He plays every instrument. Right. And then at the end of the concert,
he busts out a harmonica.
But much like in New Orleans, I guess the brass band's going through he got the big bass drum, and he got the whole band, and they walk through the audience.
Oh, it's amazing.
And played this great. It was a party. Yeah. Like the last 3 songs were just, if you had never heard the songs before, the songs are so melodic and fun, and he lets every musician take a victory lap. So the guy on the saxophone's coming out, the guy with the trumpet.
That's awesome.
And then Harry's doing something with him, and then Harry's taking the trumpet. It's like the last 15 minutes of that show is just like unbelievable.
Blows your
mind.
It
was so fun. Everybody was dancing.
I did see in Madison Square Garden, I saw the ex-Tina Justin Timberlake thing. Christina Aguilera and Justin Timberlake. They were touring together, and it was being opened for them by a little band called the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh wow!
This was back in the day, and one of the most insane 3 home run performances. All were great. Yeah. One of the most insane things I've ever seen was there was a part of it where Justin gets on a literal crane, and he beatbox battles a DJ and a drummer. And a live drummer, and he's on the crane, and they move him to each one as he's battling them. And it was one of the most cool visual things, and such raw talent, like unbelievable how he did. And then he busts right into a song after, and I was like, that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Wow, to do. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge Oasis fan.
Oh yeah, of course. And I mean, that speaks to you though, right? So their performance is going to be killer no matter what they're doing.
Well, here's the thing about them, and I always thought it was odd because they're a rock band, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't dance. They don't even tap their feet. Noel Gallagher just sits and plays.
Really?
Liam Gallagher gets behind the mic, does his thing, and he just sings the song, and he doesn't even tap his fucking foot. And I never realized it until I seen the documentary, and it was fascinating because Liam Gallagher is like, yeah, I just sit there and I look at the audience and they dance. Like they do everything. And he's like, it's just the coolest thing. And so he'll sing his part, he'll go and sit on the side of the stage and just look at the audience. And the audience is fucking dancing. Yeah. And Noel's doing the guitar solo. And I was like, I don't know of another band that does that.
Yeah.
Where
just sits in.
The crowd is the energetic one. They're not doing anything to rally them. They're not like, come on, you guys having fun. We're gonna. Yeah. They don't give a fuck.
No, their music's moving them.
Exactly.
It's
They're
crazy.
just sitting. It's the wildest thing. I can't think of another band that does that.
Yeah, I mean nobody I've seen live.
Don't even tap their fucking feet.
You know, I did see Elton John live, and I'm not a huge Elton John fan.
Yep.
But not that I'm not. I was just like, no. And I didn't also.
Thing?
Yes, Al. I
was
were there.
Crying.
Okay, I didn't realize how much
You know every song.
I knew every song, but how much like he that he got up and commanded a standing ovation after every song was very funny to me. But how he just
He'd just sit and play, and then he'd go.
Raise his hands. He did the little come on to everybody. Oh, it's so funny. But I can't realize like how much energy he gave out. It was crazy just sitting behind a piano.
Sure.
Because I've also seen Billy Joel live, right? And Billy's got energy too as well. But it's like a really weird thing what Elton's got. He's got like this crazy. He exudes an energy by just playing the piano, and you just like get lost in it. Even if you don't like his stuff, I was like, that's an artist. Like that's somebody who's insane.
Yeah, when we saw Elton John, I was moved to tears like 3 times because I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my God, I know almost every song. It's always on the radio.
Yeah.
And then it was the farewell concert.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. The moment caught up to me like 2 or 3 times. I was like, wow, this guy is so gifted, and this is the last time he's gonna play these songs.
Yeah.
And then we had seen like next day in the paper where he like admitted like he wears diapers. And he like
so he had to take bathroom breaks as he plays for 3 hours.
Pants. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that kind of weird, right?
That's why I cried. That's why I teared up. Yeah.
But remember he had the spittoon, too?
Yeah. He was just spitting mid-song. He was sick or something. He was like, I remember when rock was young.
Who is somebody you want to see?
Who do I want to see? I'm really excited for Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah? You never seen?
Never seen. I did see T Swift on her 21st birthday at a Jingle Ball concert.
Okay.
But my daughter is going to go with me, and she doesn't know we got our tickets. So I'm very excited about that. And she's a huge Swiftie. And I like Taylor. I do a lot. And I do because it's in the house all the time. Like, my daughter's always listening to it, you know? So I'm excited
somebody else,
for that.
like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you any of her songs. Shake It Off. I know that one.
Yeah.
Like, I can name that. But she's somebody, if I know if I went to the concert, I would know the songs.
No, I knew.
Because they're on the radio all the time. And she seems like a really great entertainer.
One of my favorites that I would want to see again, because I only saw like part of it because I had to leave, but was the Chainsmokers. Okay. I love their music. I think it's always fun and stuff like that. I saw them in Vegas at a nightclub set they were doing once, and then I saw them at like a half a concert at Jones Beach, but I had to leave. I got escorted out by security. That's a story for a different day. No, just kidding. I just had to go. And so I really like them. I like their music. I did see Little John at my bachelor party in Vegas. So in Vegas, we're at the XS Club. In wherever the hell it is, the Wynn, Mirage, wherever it is. And I'm with Vinny, my brother-in-law Vinny, the big guy, right? Oh, yeah. And I'm with, Sal's with me, the boys are with me, we had about 12 or 14 guys, right? So they recognize, hey,
By
come
the way,
on
when
in.
Joe says I'm with 12 or 14 guys, just know when you sit down and have lunch with them, it's like literally visiting all 5 boroughs of Manhattan.
It is a nice eclectic mix. It's eclectic
crazy.
mix.
Yeah.
It's eclectic mix. We had some Connecticut there. Justin was there.
Yeah, that's right.
So
the tri-state area.
I did. Adjoining. I gotta have. There's a toll booth, Willie. You gotta represent. So we walk in, and he was like, "Hey," he's like, "So we didn't even know Lil Jon was playing." He goes, "Oh, Lil Jon's about to go up." I'm like, Lil Jon is going to be? He's like, yeah. And to watch him do his thing, he just DJ'd, right? So I don't know what the extent of the DJing was, but he was on the mic and just got the crowd so hype. And I was like, this is insanity just to see Lil Jon do it. And I was sitting there and I'm watching with my brother-in-law, Vinny, the 6'4" Irish-Italian dude. And he's just sitting there going, bopping his head, going. And then when they did to the windows and the wall stuff, he was just like pointing, but he wasn't getting too into it. I'm like, to the window, like yelling, going crazy. He's just pointing where the window and wall are. So much cooler than me. I'm air humping everything. It was great. He was good live.
When the music hits.
Oh man, there's no stopping.
There's a song that you love.
Oh, forget it.
It's Night Night, everybody.
I've been doing this thing. I've been doing this thing now when I tour. I do the pre-show parade. Have you seen me do this yet?
No.
You gotta go. Next time we're together, you'll do it.
What do you do?
I take the Bluetooth speaker and I bust into the lobby about an hour as soon as doors open, and I did the Venga bus. I was like, man, I do a one-man parade. I take a lap around the whole thing. It's great. It's really fun.
While they're
while fans are coming in. Yeah, the early fans, like the ones that get there early.
Oh, that's so
like I do it when I can. I can't always do it, but sometimes I do, and I like to say hello to everybody that works there and who's come out to help make the show happen, which is nice. But and see these theaters. These theaters are unbelievable. These theaters I'm playing are like such history and stuff. So I get to to see the lobbies are insane. Yeah, so to get to see the space a little bit, but I love just busting out the back room with like I have like a JBL pill, and I'm bumping around to like, and people are like, is that? By the time it's realized it's me, I'm gone.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, you don't mind. Excuse me, mind. You don't mind a spontaneous moment of absolute like what just happened?
I love it. I love Tasmanian Devil in it. Yeah, I love chaos and then gone. Yeah, for sure.
You made my son run across the stage once.
That was so great.
And Kent was like, "Daddy, can I?" I'm like, "It's his show." He goes, "Later," and he just ran.
He
across.
said later to you, and he buzzed. It was so funny. I went to the other side, and I did this. Come on, buddy. And he did. I was gonna lift him like Dirty Dancing, but I didn't. Yeah. I do fun, so I like doing. I like because for you too, right? It gets you excited. That I'm very excited that all these people coming out to see us, of course, but it gets you excited for the night too, to know that, and it helps the energy of the room and stuff. But that's fun to be able to do stuff like that. I used to when we first toured with the Jokers, I used to like. When doors open, probably about 5 minutes before, I used to just walk across the stage. And if people noticed it, they noticed it. Like, I pretend I was, like, working there. Like, I would just walk past. And, like, you'd be surprised how many people didn't. But when somebody did, it was always when I was just about to leave the curtain. They'd be like, what is that? And I'm gone. Like, it's so funny. Yeah. I love that.
What do you enjoy most about touring? Because you've been on the road nonstop. What is
I'm getting to see a different part of America this way, which is really fun. All these little fun towns, all these little rich history theaters, all up. The people, I like mixing it up. I love getting to town, doing a shop local.
Yeah, you don't go to the hotel like I'm going to take. You get in, you're like, all right, drop the bags off, find a great spot to eat, and I'm going to walk around. Yeah, you find the town square, Main Street.
Try to do that. I mean, people I'm with, like Jiggy, when he's with me too. Jiggy's a big fun shopper to do stuff around. Yeah, you more sometimes sleep in, but when you meet up with us, you have a good time.
Always, yeah. Sleep takes precedent over
all the time. Yeah, your Papa's tired. It's okay.
Love sleep.
Love sleep. I don't really sleep well in hotels anyway, though. But I do love like. I think seeing stuff like that, finding some, really cool shops and whatnot, it helps pass the time too.
Sure.
Because like it's just you're sitting in your hotel room.
What's been a sneaky good hidden little town that you?
I mean, Louisville, we've had a blast in. I mean, you've been with us a couple times there too. One of my favorite stores there, the Red Door. One of my favorite restaurants there, Repeal. At the hotel there across from the comedy club. So that was a really like fun town that we discovered. Whenever we go near it, we like try to stay there too, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
That was fun, But I'm looking forward to some of these other ones that I did. We just went to La Crosse, Wisconsin, which was a really weird town for me. But we went during the day and there wasn't much going on. But when my show happened, like a lot of people came into town, and then we had to wait for the bus to leave. So we actually went out at night, which I don't really normally do.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of bars and stuff. We went to one of the local bars, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
And it was like, and we were there for like a half, like I said, I wasn't even there a half hour, I don't think, right? I was just came in, caused some ruckus, took some pictures, had a Coca-Cola, chatted up with some people, and then we left, and it was it. And we were on the bus. But to do stuff like that was fun. And then to walk through the city at night and just see the difference, it felt like a little movie set. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, you've been, at this point, where haven't you been? Because you've also toured.
I have been to Alaska.
Alaska.
That's one
we should go back. I went. It was great.
At some point, and it's one of those things where, I had something set up where I was going to break even. I was like, I don't even care. I just want to go. Yeah. I want to go, and then pandemic hit, and it never got rescheduled. But that's the one area I'd love to go.
Anchorage was great, man. I had a great time.
I saw your
there.
pictures. You were on a glacier.
I went on a glacier. Got a helicopter drive to a glacier. It was fun. I liked it a lot. I also just loved the drive. I did the drive around whatever they call it, the Hook or whatever, which is basically just their coastline. It's like kind of like the Pacific Coast Highway, the PCH, and it was just unreal. It was bald eagles like pigeons,
right,
going around. And I told you a story. I almost died there too. So it was,
that's right. Yeah, it's crazy. But I'd seen this. Like you're up late at night, and there was a program on the on the television, obviously. But it was like an infomercial for this place called Whalers Cove, I believe is what it's called. I think it's called Whalers Cove. And I saw it once, like years ago, and ever since then I'm like, I gotta go. And basically what it is these guys, you go there, you stay in a log cabin, and you go out every day, and you could go freshwater fishing or deep sea fishing, depends whatever you want to do, and then you go home and the guys cook your catch for the day, and then they freeze dry everything or whatever, ice it, and then next day it to you.
Ship
all the fish that you caught. And
where is it? In Alaska?
Fishing. It's in Alaska, and I seen this years ago. And this is how long ago. Sullivan and Son was on the air, and I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, we got to do this. And I never, it's one of those things, and I go to the website all the time, like, maybe I could do that. And like, I just never did it. And so I think maybe I got to do it.
You know what I'm going to tell you?
Huh.
You never know when the clock's going to run out on making memories with your father. I want you to pick up that phone right now, and I want you to book Whalers Cove. I want you to look. You know your calendar.
I will, yeah.
You could,
yeah.
After this one,
yeah.
I want you to go.
Okay.
I'll split the bill. I want you to take your dad. I'm not. I was kidding. I'm just kidding. You're going to go. You should go with your father. It's going to be an unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
You and Pops out there, zooping it up, getting your deep sea on. Huh? Dad, I got a halibut, Dad. You're going to be all, it's going to be fantastic. Making memories.
True. Yeah, it's true. Well, every time I go to Florida, I go fishing with him. So
does your son like it?
Kent.
3 generations of Byrnes.
We go fishing.
Top to the bottom. You three. You leave. This isn't for the women. You leave the daughter home. Jess, you prepare.
Stay home. We bring home meat.
I'm gonna ship you fish to prepare for me.
That's right. Yeah.
But I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna hunt. You do the gather. I'm hunting. You're gonna gather. you got little Kent out there pulling in. He's got a big one. Oh, help him out! And all 3 of you are pulling it in together. Picture on the wall. Memory made. Core memory.
Now I don't have to do it. It's already in my head.
This is what I'm saying. I'm saying you're missing out on that.
Yeah.
You should do it.
They're almost sold out for 2023.
Did you look it up?
I'm on it right now. They're almost sold out for 2023. Few spots available.
Few spots.
4-day all-inclusive, $6,100 per person.
Oh, that's why I didn't do it.
That's why I didn't do it.
I take all that back.
I remember it was like $5,000, and I'm like, yeah.
I take all that back. No memories worth $6,100 a head.
Because when you got kids, you're like, Jess is not going to be happy.
Yeah.
That price does include lifelong memories. That's built right into it.
I mean, did I write this website? Is that a bullet point for real?
No, that was my.
Oh, that's great. That's nice.
There you go.
Good job, Jake.
Let's help some people here.
So funny.
Oh, this is just right to it. Ham Slapped asks, how do I find happiness?
I don't know, but let me know. Happiness is the idea of happiness, I would say. This is what in my soul of souls, I believe, is you got to find a little bit every day and collect it. You got to collect happiness because it's going to get you through the times when you're not happy. Because for me, living in the moments of happiness and living in that joy help ease the burden of when life is tough and sucks and you're like, oh, this isn't even worth it, because then you remember the good times. And I think it's all about balance. So for happiness, there's not one big overall happiness. You're not always going to be happy. Stop it. Don't be dumb. We know this.
Yeah.
You're not always going to be happy. Life is tough. You're going to have times of unhappiness. So bottle her up and drink that elixir when times are sucking.
Well, I'll tell you, you can find happiness at $6,100 a pop at Whalers Cove.
I want you to find 2 of your closest relatives, and I want you to go to make some core memories of happiness. $6,100 with promo code 2CoolMoms.
I'll tell you what is, I think the best barometer of happiness is I find, I have 2 or 3 super close friends, like super close where I can vent, right?
4?
4?
I'm a close 4.
There's times where I don't want to vent, though, where you're like, do you mind if I just get this off? And just vent.
Yep. And
then those friends will remind you what to take stock of. Think what you got. Think of this, think of that, think of this. So there's, I think, like, that's always for me like the refresher of like happiness of like, hey, think about this, and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, you have to find things that make you happy, right? That's part of it. You have to fill yourself with experiences or friends or people and things that have to give you happiness. So find stuff that you like to watch, find people that you like to hang with, find someone maybe to love, all these things. Find something that you enjoy doing. Yep. Like stuff has to provide happiness for you, but there's so much stuff out there you could do. So I would say find something that provides you happiness, build that up.
Pastries
My
pie makes me happy. I literally go there, and I saw the picture even yesterday that I posted today of
the My Pie
Pizzeria.
Like, the My Pie Pizzeria here in Manhattan has become our local. Like we schedule the podcast around when we're eating. We took a 2.5-hour break yesterday to go get My Pie. Literally, that's what happened. We're like we walk roaming the streets. And you went, how about My Pie? We're like, it's only 47 blocks away. Let's walk. Yeah, we love that place. It's great.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
my pie makes us happy.
my kids make me beyond happy.
Oh, best.
I got a text from my son. My son is at the age now where he's able to like text,
Oh, that's great.
and I get a text last night. It just says, "I miss you so much, Dad."
Oh,
And
that's sweet.
and then I posted a picture of me at the cellar, just like, "Hey, I'm thinking about you." And then he wrote me back. He goes, "I got you, Dad."
Oh, that's
It's like,
so cool.
like a 7-year-old's
Yeah.
just saying that. And
I installed FaceTime on my kids' iPads.
yeah.
So they could get me whenever they want.
Sure.
And I said, listen, if Daddy's able to answer, I'll always answer. I promise I'll answer. So my son, I just started with my son now. So my son's 5, Milana's 7. Milana gets it.
Yeah.
Milana answers, "Hey, Dad, what are you doing?" "Oh, no, blah, blah." She tells me what's up, and then she, hangs up. My son Remo, he has it on his iPad, so it's always horizontal, and he's always looking down at it. So I get this view. I get the no, I'm like, "Hey, Dad," like that, and I go, "What's up, buddy?" "Nothing." "What's going on? What are you doing?" "Nothing. You work?" "Yeah." "Show me." He wants to see my hotel rooms. He wants to see outside. It's so funny. So, and then like the other day, when I first installed it, it was like about 3 weeks ago, I guess. I had one of us just going to use the bathroom, and he FaceTimed me, and I answered it from the bowl. He goes, "Are you at work?" I said, "No, I went upstairs to go to the bathroom."
Yeah.
So putting that time in, but it's so funny to like have that to be able to connect with you now. And it's really, really cool that your kids can provide happiness even with just the simplest thing. To know that your kids miss you is so cool. But don't you find it to be a double-edged sword? Because don't you feel? I feel instantly guilty.
Yeah, look, like anytime I'm having a great experience, I'm like, oh my God, the kids would love this. Or like you go into a great restaurant, you're like, the kids would have loved to, all those things. But then that's the thing of like, next time I do this, come with me. Like DC, every time I'm in DC, prior to, I was like, oh, you got to come. But now it's like, now they come with me to DC because, that's a city where it's like all the museums, 100%. Everything to do there. It's like, absolutely, you got to come.
And Weller's Cove. They're going to really enjoy Weller's Cove.
Yeah,
I just had a worse, the worst for me was just last 2 weeks ago, or however long ago it was, 3 weeks ago, whatnot, when Remo was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So he had to go in on a Saturday, and Bessie took him in and was like, they're admitting him. And I was like, oh, well, I'm coming home. And she was like, well, no, they're just, he just has to get fluids and whatnot. There's nothing really they could do, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, but he's scared. Like, I want to be there for him, right? But I was in the middle of wherever I was, and I was like, I can't get home. I said, so I have to come tomorrow. So he had to spend the night. So she FaceTimed me because he wanted to see me. And he's like, can you get here? And I was like ripping my heart out. And as a rational human, it's like, I can't. Sure. I went, but I'm going to be there tomorrow. I'm going to be there at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and do whatever. I changed my flight to our first flight out. Like, I left at like 5:50.
Time to buy a toy.
So then, right. So then
make up and fill the void.
So I remember we talked about this. My first instinct was that, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I'm not. And when I showed up, he said, could you cuddle me? And I got in the hospital bed with him, and I was like, that's what he wanted. Like, that was really like, and I was like, okay. So then I got to spend the night with him, and he was like, God, buddy, he's like, I want to go home. I'm like, it's a boys only sleepover in the hospital. He's like, yes, and I was like, all right, that worked. Like, so to be able to do that, but that's probably the worst when your kids are like wanting, like, that's the extreme, like the hospital, but like when they're sick at home and whatnot, or you just feel, and they just want you. Like, I hate that. That's the worst part of it.
I'm at that. My daughter's 10 now, and she's at the age where she doesn't hold my hand anymore. And you walk through the parking lot up to Target, and before you'd always get the hand hold, and now she's like,
I don't need it.
And there have been a handful of times where we're on the couch. I'm like, do you want to cuddle? She's like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's over.
It's over.
It's done.
Daddy's little girl, no more.
Now the son, it's like, I'm hugging you every time until you don't want to.
Until you punch me in the face to get off me.
Yeah. It's going to happen soon. Yeah. Fuck you, Dad. You don't get me.
So get some happiness in your life. We wish you nothing but happiness. Listen to some podcasts. I don't know. Maybe this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Hope that helps.
Coming to us from Sam. Is it common for my mother, a 55-year-old woman, to run in the house yelling, gotta poop? And sometimes it's, I poop my pants. As she's running to the toilet, again, she's 55. I think that's awesome.
I love that.
That makes me happy.
That makes that is some happiness. You store that. I mean, you got to get that on video too.
Mom's honest.
Mom is honest. She might want to see a doctor. That may be maybe cut back. Maybe get some rice and banana in her diet. That might help. See a nutritionist, Mom. I yell that everywhere I'm going.
Oh, One of my favorite memories when you came to visit the set of Sullivan and Son.
Right,
you picked the one cast member who would never appreciate it. Owen Benjamin hates like poop stuff. He doesn't like it, and he walks into his dressing room, and who's sitting on the toilet bowl?
Door open.
Door open. Joe Gatto, and Owen's like, "Oh no, oh it's so gross."
Nice to meet you, Owen.
Yeah. Couldn't stop laughing.
It was fun. I did that to make the boys laugh because they were like, it was funny because we were kind of like nervous because it was like, you know, you had a real TV show. Like we have a real TV show too, but we're in a park. Like you had a set with so we were walking around like you had like a real craft services.
Yeah.
You know, we have a fold-out table that had crackers on it, like saltines and like 3-day-old grapes. You know, so yeah, that was fun.
How cool is that? That's the one thing I really appreciate about when you're out and about with Joe and you're going through. This city is your set.
Yeah.
Because everywhere we go, when we're in a cab, you're like, oh,
yeah, I have a story about
it. You got a story about every single area in the city.
Yeah, for sure. It's nostalgic.
Buildings.
It's cool.
Oh, there's an office in there.
I was literally, I had a meeting, and I was with you, Jiggy, right? We had a meeting or something. I walked in the place. I'm like, oh, why the hell is this place familiar? And then I look on the fourth floor. We were going like the 7th floor. On the 4th floor was one of the focus groups we used for like a full season. Wow. And I was like, oh, that's why I know this
You
place.
have deja vu everywhere
all the time.
in New York City.
All the time.
I mean, what a great thing,
that,
especially as your kids get older, you know.
For sure.
And you have reference. You go, hey, we go.
With my daughter, she loves the city. So when we come into the city, and like she knows a couple of things she's seen, and she's like, "Daddy, did you ever work here?" Like when we're in a park, like, did you ever work here? I was like, it's pretty fun. Yeah.
All righty.
So good luck to your mom and her bowels.
Yes, absolutely. So this is coming to us from Landon. Landon says, "Hey Joe, for as long as I can really remember, you and your friends have made me laugh. I know you get it all the time, but I just wanted to truly thank you. God bless." No question. I just thought that was a nice one to read.
You're welcome, Landon, and I appreciate you. And so does Steve. You could at least mention them. I mean, it is Two Cool Moms podcast, so you could at least said, Steve, thanks for the joy over the past 50-plus episodes that you have given
but
us.
He said, and friends, and I was like, oh, I'll take it.
Okay, yeah. Oh, you're in there.
Sure, Landon.
I'm in your top 4.
Yeah. There we go. It's coming to us from Max. Max, I can relate to this. That's why I brought this up. Okay. Hey, Joe and Steve, question for your podcast. Just wanted to ask you guys if you or your friends had any trouble with acne when you guys were teens and how you treated it.
Zit face.
Horrible.
I didn't know that. I will tell you. I just said that because you said I have experience with it.
My acne was so bad in high school.
Really?
So bad in high school. My senior class picture, my parents didn't order it. That's how bad it was. I had zits phenomenal. All over my face, and my parents were like, "Oh, we're not going to order that picture."
Why waste the money?
Just
landmines.
Like a beehive was put on my head. It just everywhere. Cheeks.
So did they say it was because of your diet, or because you're greasy? Like, what is it? No, I'm just saying, not you personally. I was like, what did you ever go to like a doctor's like, you're a greasy half Asian, like you're disgusting. You're a disgusting beast. you got to do something. At this point, just hang it up. There's not gonna. You should think about just.
My favorite cue. You look slimy.
Slimy, yeah.
Oh my God, my favorite line. But no, it's like it's just. I think it's hereditary.
Hereditary, yeah.
It just is what it is. So. I was one of those guys. They didn't have Proactive back then.
None of that. Yeah.
They had like Oxy-10, and you put it on.
You literally just put dots. Yeah.
Like, these brown dots on you. It was just awful, and there's nothing you can do because you know eventually it's going to go away.
It's worse for you because of your skin tone too, right? Because they only make that like cover up makeups medicine
for
right
white
mostly for whites.
Yeah. For the whites.
For the whites, right? You're an off-white.
I'm an opaque.
You're cream. You're cream.
In an opaque.
No, but that's true, right? Like they're all back in the day. Like we're talking what, late '80s, right?
Yeah,
ish. So they didn't
90s.
But they didn't. These kids today don't know about acne like you did.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny. My one neighbor told me about this mud mask thing. So I put this mud mask on. It was humiliating. I'm like 16 and 17 with a mud mask.
Get your Matty Penny going on. Oh, I love it.
Humiliating. But yeah, look, it sucks. It sucks. I would grow my hair out so it would cover it. And
you were like emo? You were emo zit face?
It was so bad.
Oh, man.
So
I didn't know any of this. Do you have any pictures?
No, I have no evidence.
So what was his question? How do you deal with it?
How do you deal with it? I
we're not
always
done.
just like, look, it just is what it is. I mean,
100%.
there's nothing you can do, but as you do grow out of it. And I had it as bad as anybody.
Yeah.
It was. There were days where I didn't want to go to high school. I wake up and I look at my face. I'm like, oh my God, I can't go to school today. Look at this.
That's really hard. Yeah.
It was brutal, especially at that age when you don't know who you are and you want to fit in.
Your body's
you wanna be
changing
cool,
legitimately.
and,
Yeah.
oh my
yeah.
God, it's just everything. Big forehead.
You should wear a ski mask. That's the way to do it, right? That's a good cover up. Wear a ski mask. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Just know that it just sucks. It just sucks.
And you know what, though? It's going to get better because your skin's going to clear up and you're going to be beautiful like my friend Steve here.
Here we are. Okay. Let's see. This is coming to us from Liz.
Ooh, not her again.
I have a comedian question. Do you have different jokes for certain demographics?
For sure.
Or backup jokes if the ones you're doing aren't doing too well with the audience?
Well, we wouldn't know the experience of not doing too well with an audience because we are both just majorly successful professionals.
Assassins.
Yeah, for different audiences, for sure. Like we had to do a. This is one of the best things ever. We filmed our second pilot at an old age home that we doubled.
I'm in already.
That we doubled as a hospital.
Yeah.
And the way we got it was, hey, it was in Staten Island, it was Seaview Hospital. They have an abandoned building. They have an abandoned hospital. Mm-hmm. They're like, can we borrow this from where we said the guy who runs the place knows? He's like, sure, guy, you guys are great. We're the tenderloins. We're not even the jokers yet. Hey, you guys are great. Yeah, just the only thing I ask is, we had the nursing home here. You guys put on a show for the old people, at one point in next year.
Really?
Sal shakes his hand, sure. We go, we film all weekend, great. We make a great pilot, we love it. Gets passed out, we do it, gets into the film festival, the New York Television Festival, picked up by Fox. We're talking to Fox, we're in negotiations. It doesn't end up happening, but whatever, it was a great experience. Mm-hmm. 363 days later, I'm not kidding. Sal's cell phone rings. Sal was like, he's never called me. I'm not going to call him. I'm like, yeah, sure. Phone rings. Hey, Sal, it's Paul. When do you think you guys going to be able to come through? And Sal's like, fuck. He's like, guys, we got to do this old age home. So we go, and this is when we're doing improv. Keep in mind, we're not even really doing much storytelling stuff. It's kind of like we're playing games and hanging out, right? We go in, and it's a room full of they wheel 2 of the 3 people in their beds. I'm not kidding. She's sitting there watching with she's got the whole accordion respirator thing going, and she's just watching, blinking, smile, right? So we go in. The woman, we're sitting there, we're like, all right, and we're just like, and we get in there, so of course.
How horrible would it be if one of those people died and the last thing they saw on this planet was Murray doing improv?
So we walk in. No, we a lot of people tapped out. They're like, I've seen enough. This is it. We gotta go. This is bad improv. So we're in a room, and we're literally in the front of a room, and the woman, so we're starting, and we're like, we gotta start. So they're like, they all look to me because they know me. Yeah. I'm like, hey, everybody, I'm doing the whole thing, whatever. And I start, I'm like, hey, and they're just following the lead, and the woman goes, there's a skunk in here. I swear to God. And I go, okay. I said, well, look out for the skunk, everybody. And then there's 2 old women start getting into it. She's like, and I'm like, so we just started talking to them, because, we love old people. So we start talking to them. And I was like, how long have you been here? She's like, well, I've been here for a long time and nobody comes to visit me. And the other woman next to her goes, you're full of shit, Margaret. Your daughter was here yesterday. She never remembers. And they got into it. And we're like, okay, can we get a word of inspiration? We need a location. And literally it was one of the worst experiences, but so much fun that we've ever had as it's a core memory for the group for sure.
I assume you didn't film it.
We didn't. If I could go back in time, I would probably not say goodbye to my dying parents, and I probably would go back to that room and hit record on something. Those are the 2 things between those 2 situations. It was insanity. It was so fun. Yeah, and we every now and again, when I remember, it was one of our early tours. We were still trying to figure out the Jokers tour or whatever. And I think one of us told a joke that didn't really work, but we picked up the ball as we do, whatever. And then I just walked over to somebody that we whispered. And I went, "There's a skunk in here," and we just because it was because we were just trying to figure it out. And that always became the term we got to mix it up here. So yeah.
So when you're live performing though, you pretty much stick to the script though.
I do. I mean, most of my stuff isn't, my stuff is pretty green. I do curse, but I don't really have any like overtly sexual content or anything like that, you know. But I mean, that's why my shows are 16 plus, because like, you know, most of these kids have heard the F word enough. It's funny. People, I get here all the time. It's so funny that people hear me curse because I'm beeped on television their whole life.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? So then they see me drop the F bomb and they're like, oh, they're waiting for the beep. They're like, they missed it. Yeah. But I don't really change my stuff. You though, but you do crowd work. When you find a kid though, like that is one of my favorites, because like when we tour together, there's, you know, you do the comedy club stuff and it's adults and whatnot mostly, you know, but there'll be like a 10-year-old and you'll see them, and I love how you just.
Well, I love thinking like, especially it was funny because we were in Phoenix together, and I think that kid, his name was Colin, right?
Yeah.
What a sweet kid, and he's there with his mom, and you're just thinking, you know, it's Saturday, this kid is going to see, you know, one of his favorite TV stars with his mom.
Yeah.
I'm sure he probably wants to be with a friend or whatever. He just, whatever. But
He was like 12 years old, right?
and he became a huge part of the show.
100%. I actually even brought him out when we
brought him out.
Yeah.
And then I remember we were talking afterwards. I was like, can you just imagine, like, they're driving home,
Right.
and they can't wait to tell their friends about that, and they have that memory the rest of their lives. He'll never forget that moment.
Yeah, for sure.
He was a huge, and he got a huge round of applause when you brought him back out.
Yeah.
So God, I don't know. I think like things like that make me happy when you think about it, because you're in the moment, you're hanging out with the kid, and then they're going to drive home. They're going to go to Denny's.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
It's cool memories. You're Whalers Cove for those people.
A lot more affordable.
Yeah, you're
A lot
not.
more
We
affordable.
ain't 6100. You got a Groupon? Come see us.
But you do that constantly, and I thought one of the coolest things you've done, and you posted it, was you had a table set up, and you found a single guy and a single girl, and you gave them like front row dining experience. What, like the red behind the? I was like, wow.
So when we got there, there's a huge orchestra pit, and it was completely empty. I'm like, are they filming this? They're like, no. And I was talking to you. I said, you know what? Let's put a table there.
Yeah.
I said, and I'll find. And it just was one of those things that started building. I said, you know, let's put a table there, and I'll find a single girl and single guy, and we'll make them sit together. And then I was like, get a tablecloth and like a candelabra. And I was like, get me a violin. And then they're like, do you know how to play violin? I'm like, no. And one of the guys working there was like, oh, you know, we just had the orchestra here last weekend. I'm like, do we know a violinist? Yeah. They called up a girl who was there the week before playing, who was a local. It was just a little town. They called whatever. I was like, I said, it'd be really fun if we served them with like a butler. And I'm like, we don't have a butler, but we have Nico, the guy that works with me. I'm like, Nico, I said, get a tuxedo. So we called it the local thing. He calls up and he's like, hey, Joe Gatto's in town. We'll give you 4 tickets if we could borrow a tuxedo. Absolutely. He goes and gets fitted, gets the tuxedo. So it all just came together so grandly, and it was so fun. And I was like, oh, that's really cool, because I love doing stuff like that. And just like, that's like my improv nature, you know? It's I just wanted to make the most of that moment. And I think in my mind, they're dating. Because they looked cute together. They were holding hands during the show. Like it was interesting.
It was one of the cooler pieces of, you know, content that I'd seen a comedian do live at a show, and I was like, wow, that could be a gimmick you could do anywhere, anytime you want. And it was, I don't know, I was really creative, but it's also like such a positive thing too.
For sure, you want to help people find love.
You want to.
One more. We got time for one more.
Okay, I don't know how to say that. Oh, crochet today. Okay.
Wait, is that the username? Crochet today.
Crochet today.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Or croquet today. Is it the sport or the needlework?
I think it's needlework. Yeah, it's needlework.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's crochet, right?
CROCHET? Crochet.
Yes. Okay. Hey, Two Go Moms, I love the podcast. Oh, my question is, I'm having a hard time making and keeping friendships. I feel like I try to meet a lot of new people, but it always seems like most really good friendships end very quickly. How do you keep a friendship alive when you find friends you really enjoy hanging out with them? Thank you for all the laughter. I think if you're having a blast with somebody,
you got to keep that momentum going.
Yeah. Why is it ending?
I think
that's my question.
In the early, well, you know, she's clearly a horrendous person. I mean, I clearly blame her. I mean, people stop being friends with you. You're not stopping being friends with people.
Right.
You're doing something wrong, Crochet. Something's not connecting with your needlework. That's my advice. Change it up. No, what I would say is in the beginning when you meet people and you click, it's important. Momentum is very important in the beginning of friendships. I think that's very important, momentum, because you don't want to feel like a one-off thing. It's like, oh, I click with this person. Yeah. Let me put some time in here. Let's see them again for a coffee. Let's check in, say hello, drop a text, whatever. That's important in the beginning. To maintain it over time, you have to put the work in friendships or any relationship, you got to put the work in. So if you don't put the work in, and you just being like, oh, we clicked, it was great. Oh, it fizzled. Well, that's a decision.
Sure.
The decision is a decision to walk away from a friendship. You have a decision to either work a little bit harder or try to reinvigorate, or be like, didn't work out.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's all about bandwidth and how much time are you willing to put into it. Look, we all have friends. You call, you never hear from them.
Yeah.
Then you have friends that call you all the time. It's like that's how it works.
It is.
Call them back, hang out, get a bite.
I have had a real friendship swath in the past year and a little bit, because I used to see my friends every day, no effort needed. And now, like, I don't see them. We don't talk nearly as much as we used to. I mean, I literally used to see them every day, So, and now it's like different. We're on different paths, different careers, different things, and you don't see each other. And it wasn't a friendship out of convenience. It was more like a friendship out of, like, it was a built-in friendship, right?
Sure.
But still, when we talk, when we see each other, it's unbelievable all the time. Then it made me realize about friends that I had that I didn't have time for. Right. And then to reinvigorate those friendships has one of my favorite things ever.
Right.
Like when we did that Vegas trip, and I was able to bring a bunch of my friends with us, and when I played Vegas, and I'd have a great time with I had some of my oldest friends there, and newer friends, and just have everybody together. So I've been on a different kind of friendship journey, like even more than dealing with everything. It's like, how do you make friends at 6 years old, or reinvigorate? Like, I'm not making really new friends. I'm making a couple new ones, but it's more like remembering the friendships you had and being like, hey, let's put them back in the spotlight. Yeah.
And friendships come in ebbs and flows.
100%.
There's a core group, I think, that you'll always be friends with throughout the course of your life. It just is the way it is. But then sometimes it just goes in patterns. It's weird. I mean, coming back to New York City now, I'm like seeing people I would see nightly, like literally every night of my life. And now it's just like nothing's ever changed. It's like right back at the clubs, you're seeing everybody again.
Grabbing a bite, hanging out, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But I think it's important to make sure you take the time to just sit down. I make a conscious effort with people I am friends with, especially at like the clubs or whatever, to just sit down and go, so what's going on? Tell me, just walk me through what's up. Yeah.
If you want it to work, you got to put in the work.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So put the needles down.
Drop the crochets and pick up the okays, and let's all get together and make ourselves a blanket of friendship. Thank you for listening to Two Cool Moms. I've been Joe Gatto.
And the okays.
And that's Steve Byrne.
Okay. Thank you. Subscribe. Like us. These two cool mommies love you, so show us some love.
Please rate us, review us, follow us on all social media, and subscribe to our YouTube.